Yeah.
Hi friends, this is Mansi, author of The Cousins Crime and Why Ignore It. And you're watching Creator Sparks where creativity sparkles. So today I am here with Ann Bryant, the award-winning author of many successful series. For example, The Ballerina Dreams, The Cafe Club, The School Friends, and many more. So stay tuned to hear me have a conversation with Ann Bryant. So the best place to start is the beginning, it said, and you were first published in 1986. So I want to know what gave you the inspiration to write your first book and how long did it take to complete the whole process? Well, I didn't mean to get published in the first place. I trained as a musician. I went to Royal College of Music in London and then began teaching, and I had quite a bit published in the world of music. So resources for primary school teachers and this kind of thing, and that actually marries that with the work that I did in India. And then after that, I got interested in writing fiction, and so I just joined a creative writing class, and everybody else was writing for adults, and I didn't have anything to read out. So one day I quickly wrote out a little chapter about, or a scene about a boy called Tim Scragg, and it made everybody laugh in the group, in the creative writing group. They all thought it was very funny, and I quite liked that. So for the next week, I wrote another little scene about this boy, and they kept on laughing. I did this for 10 weeks, and in the end, one of them said, "Oh, you should really submit this to a publisher." So I thought, yes, but it's just a lot of separate scenes. I had no idea what to do with it. So I put it all together and sent it off to 6 publishers, and they all rejected it. And 2 years later, I took it out of the drawer, looked at it again, did a tiny bit of work on it, but not much, sent it to 3 of the same publishers, and 3 different ones. And one of the same ones accepted it. And she did say to me subsequently that if I sent it 2 years ago, they wouldn't have accepted anything because they weren't accepting fiction at that time. So you never know. And that's how it started. It kind of started by a mistake. She said it's very episodical, and I said, yeah, that's because I wrote it in episodes. So I had a lot to learn, and it was from there that I started my first. So that was an amazing start for you, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. It was a very nice start. Yes, after that, I just had lots and lots of commissions. So, in one of your interviews, you've mentioned that ballet was your passion, your thing. So, is that the reason behind the Ballerina Dream series? I loved ballet, yes. I still love ballet. I wanted to be a ballerina until I realised that I wasn't good enough. And I didn't want to be just in the corps de ballet or a ballet teacher or something like that. And so I went along the music route, but regretted not being able to do dance and also poetry and drama and all the arts. I really did love all the arts. But I went along that very narrow music route because, it was a long, long time ago and there wasn't the option to do a generic performance arts course. But now I'm glad that I did what I did because I've come round to being able to use my love of ballet by writing and researching in lovely places like Royal Ballet School. So, what one word describes your writing the best, according to you? It's just in one word. Well, sorry, I didn't catch the whole question. The word that would reflect what? Describe my writing. Ooh, I quickly into my head came imaginative, but I suppose all writing is imaginative. I don't know. I read Anne of Green Gables 17 times when I was 10, and that's very. Anne herself is full of imagination, and I think that might have just. I don't know. I think I might have absorbed quite a lot of that. I think that's probably all I can say. But much more recently, thinking about it, maybe realistic. Maybe realistic. Things like Ballerina Dreams, School Friends, a couple of other series that I've written, Wellness in a Step Chain, Make Friends With was another series. These series, and Cafe Club, of course, the very first one, are all very, very true to life. So if you can put little hyphens in it, true to life, it looks like 3 words, but with hyphens, it's just 1 word. There you are. Okay, so true life. Okay, so you've published about 125 books. That's a lot of books, and they mostly include children's fiction and music resources. So what's it with music and writing? How do you combine them together? The music and writing are the two sort of separate strands of my career have now come together. So I've got a series, for example, called Introducing Classical Music Through Stories, and I've written The Dragon's Tale, which is goes with the music to Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, First Movement, and I listen to the music a lot until I know it backwards, and then I create a story, which is quite difficult because I want the story to absolutely run along with the music. So if I'm in the middle of a sort of ferocious bit of stories, about a dragon, and then the music was very, very quiet suddenly, I have to reflect that in the story. So I've done The Dragon's Tale, I've done one called Crazy Alien Ball, which is to the music of Night on Bear Mountain. I'll just give you one more example. I've done William the Crackshot Kid, which is to the music of the William Tell Overture, and there are 4 or 5 others that I've done too. And then most recently, Peter and the Timber Wolf is my modern version of the story of Peter and the Wolf that goes precisely with that music as well. I've done lots and lots of concerts you might have seen on the website. Last year I did lots of concerts all over the south of England to primary schools where I was narrating the story, my story, Peter and the Timberwolf, whilst the orchestra, called Cadenza, the Cadenza Orchestra, played the music of Peter and the Wolf by Prokofiev, and we had the images from the book projected onto a screen behind. So yeah, I've seen that on your website. You've seen that? Yeah, I got a great fan of music at school. Yes, I love combining the two things, music and words, yeah. So what's the best thing about writing you feel? Well, it's impossible to tell you how much I love it. Even now that that it's a very different situation in the world at the moment, so nothing much is getting published, and I'm using the time to be very, very creative. Also, I can't travel. I've done loads and loads of travel to many, many countries, and also visits to international schools. I can't do that. So I've really buckled down to doing writing, and I've done a lot for all the age groups, and the thrill it gives you when you get the idea and you realise how you can mould it into a shape. Might be the shape of a poem, might be the shape of a picture book, it might be the shape of a longer standalone book, a novel, or it might be the beginning of a series, and then you get more and more ideas. The other wonderful thing is when you've completed the first draft. That's absolutely wonderful, and you've done the hardest work, because it is hard work as well, but so fulfilling. Yeah, I'm very excited to get the answer for this question. So, you've written about 125 books, each with a different name. So, how do you come up with names for characters of your books? Well, a lot of those books were in series, of course, so therefore it's a bit predictable what the name would be. So I've just got to look on my walls. I've got all my pictures, all my book covers. Look, I'll just show you if I can. On the walls there. Amazing! It's an amazing room. They're not actually all in but anyway, so Cafe Club, for example, Tasha the Fortune Teller, Jamie and the Mystery of Evie Bly, and then you get the Make Friends With series. They're just all girls' names, so that's easier to come up with. And then Silver Spires, Rivalry at Silver Spires, and Princess at Silver Spires, and so on. And with the Ballerina Dreams, Poppy Secret Wish, Dancing with the Stars. So if you have a whole series title, it's much easier then to come up with the individual titles. But of my individual books, the standalone books, it's a lovely thing trying to get the title. It's absolutely lovely. And I've just recently written a picture book, and I've changed the title probably about 6 times. Each time I've done a new draft, I felt the focus shifting very slightly, so I've changed the title, which is great. Now picture this. You are sitting at a computer, totally uninspired for words. You don't seem to conquer any words. You don't seem to write anything. So how will you get back to your writing process? And how will you let your creativity flow? Are you talking about writer's block? Yeah, writer's block. Yeah. I think there's no such thing as writer's block. In your case, it might be doing your homework block, or cleaning out the goldfish block, or me doing the ironing block. I think that it's just something that because it's quite hard work, and especially at the beginning of a book, the French call writer's block syndrome de la page blanche, which means syndrome of the blank page, and that's a bit what it's like. If you've got nothing. So what I do is never have nothing. I always just have something going on my head, loads and loads going on in my head, so that it's ready to go out into words immediately. So I don't really get writer's block. It might be rubbish at the beginning, and I might finish up getting rid of the first part, but that's how you do it. Just keep having ideas in your head the whole time.
Okay, so can you please tell us about your series, The School Friends?
The series took place in a boarding school called Silver Spires. I'll tell you an interesting story about that. The editor asked me to write the series. I was commissioned to write the series, and all they said was we want it to take place in a boarding school, and we want there to be maybe 4, maybe 6 girls, all in year 7. So for us in England, I don't know about in India, year 7 is the beginning of secondary school. And so that's where it took place, and I had 6 girls, and I decided they should all have very distinct personalities and be sharing a dorm together. And there was a question of what we would call the school, and I wanted a romantic name. I wanted a name which was just inspirational, and I thought of Silver Spires, and I imagined these beautiful spires and turrets on the school, all gleaming in the sun. So I wanted to call it Silver Spires, and they said, no, we think that's a bit young. And so we did some research with adults and with children. They did it, and I did it. So I asked many children of the relevant reading age, which was about 8 to 12, which titles they preferred. And I put 20 titles, super school titles, including their favourite. And it was Black something Manor. I can't remember. Blackthorn, yeah, Blackthorn Manor. They wanted the school to be Blackthorn Manor. And nobody voted for Blackthorn Manor amongst my children, who I asked, but the vast majority wanted Silver Spires. So the publisher considered that we would use Silver Spires as a working title. But then we got so used to it that we said, oh, let's just keep it. Let's have Silver Spires as the title. So it deals with these 6 girls, and at the beginning of each story, there's some kind of a problem. That's the usual formula. And through their own efforts and powers, they manage to sort it out by the end of the book. But it is very strongly realised.
So I look forward to read the series.
Well, actually, most of my stuff is out of print now, but they're still, I think, on Amazon. But a lot of it is out of print, but other countries are still printing it. So Valerie and Jeeves, for example, went into many countries, and Japan has just reprinted it this year. And everything is on Amazon and in libraries and that.
So the last question for the day. Are you currently working on any play, any series, any book? And also, can you please share some tips for aspiring authors?
Yes, okay, there's 2 parts to that question. I'm currently working on lots of stuff. 2 big projects that I'm working on have nothing to do with me. Well, they do, but they're not exclusively mine. I'm collaborating with two different animation companies on two different projects, both for TV. They might finish up on internet, I don't know, but they are those kind of projects which involve animation and possibly some live filming as well. And I created one of the ideas and joint created the other idea. So that's two of the things that I'm working on. And then I've just done two picture books, and I'm still working on one of them. Two standalone books, which I'm still working on. Two series, which I'm still working on. So all those things which are going on. And your second part of the question was any tips for aspiring authors? I think that the way you look at the world is the most interesting thing. If I'm going on a walk with my partner, for example, and he might say, "Oh, I see that house is for sale." Well, they only sold it fairly recently, and that's for sale again. And my mind immediately goes, "Oh, I wonder why. Are the people on the run? You know, are they escaping from something? Is somebody chasing them? Have they done something wrong?" And a whole story comes into my head just through seeing a sign on a house. And if I walk with a friend, for example, because I love walking, who's interested in all the different plants and the vegetation, we walk in the forest sometimes, and if they might see a piece of moss and say, "Oh, this is a lovely moss. I've never seen this moss before," and bend down to touch it. And I am imagining what creatures might live inside that moss, and a whole little tiny family of birds or else or whatever comes into my head. So I think it's a way of thinking and exploring every single thing that you come across in life, and then writing about it and just letting the words flow.
So it seems we have come to the end of our conversation today. It was wonderful talking to you, hearing your experiences and your words of wisdom. And I hope this is not the last time we're having this conversation.
I'm sure we'll speak again. It was lovely to talk to you, Alice. Lovely to talk to you.